Okay, for the purposes of telling you about us, Kimberly, we'll start over. My name is Steve Prater. I'm the acting chairman today. To my right is Danny Barra, and to my left is Carolyn Stapleton. And we are here to talk about your case and find out just exactly why you think that you're worthy of being paroled today. We're at headquarters in Baton Rouge. There's a number of people here. And before we have the staff and the folks there introduce themselves, let me just tell you who is here so that you will know. Let's see. We have Carrie Myers, who's going to be on Zoom with us. We have Christy Sheremy, Carol Adams, Demetrius C. Moore, Stephanie King, and Sierra Del Garza. Of course, I think Sierra is there. But the others are here at headquarters seated, and they'll have a chance to talk. And I apologize for any names that I got wrong. In opposition will be Randall Meyer, and Haley Ravebane. And they are both, or Haley is here at headquarters, and Randall will be Zooming with us, I'm sure. And so that's kind of the setup for today. Before the board gets into any questions, we'll hear the folks that are going to speak for you, and we'll hear the folks against you. But first, before we do anything, I want the staff there to introduce themselves, and we appreciate you and the hard work that y'all do. Would the staff introduce themselves?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Kristen Thomas, Warden.
Good morning. Tara Pete, ARDC Manager. Paxton Gaddy, ARDC Supervisor. Lieutenant Williams, Active Security.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you accommodating us this morning. And what about the rest of the folks that are there? Would you introduce yourselves? Kimberly, would you tell us who's there?
I can do it. Yeah, I'll do mine. Okay. Good morning, board. Adrienne Hutchison, attorney for the Louisiana Parole Project, here on behalf of Miss Kimberly Law. And when the board deems it appropriate, I'll make my remarks.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Heather Bridge. I'm Kimberly's sister.
I'm Lawrence Lofton, Kimberly's dad.
Okay, welcome, and we appreciate y'all being there and helping us with what we have to do this morning. Okay, we've got the staff here that's already introduced themselves with our first case. You know who the board is. We know everybody in the room here, and we know everybody in the room there. And so now it's time for you, Kimberly. Tell us, to get us started here, tell us exactly why you feel like you're worthy of being paroled.
Well, first of all, let me just start by saying, I've struggled with that my entire prison sentence of why I would be worthy to be here today. I caused a great deal of harm to many people, and I have struggled with that. But the person that you have in your file in front of you is not the person I am today. I've prided myself in my sobriety and educating myself to be the best person I can be for the rest of my life, sir. I make it my goal every morning to remind myself what my sobriety has got me and how far it has gotten me. Because there wasn't a minute when I was on those streets that a minute went by, a second went by, an hour that didn't go by that I didn't need to be high to cope or to just cope, sir. But I'm not that person anymore.
Okay.
A lot of help from staff here, classes. I'm no longer that person. And I feel like I can do everything possible through my 2-lane degree. I would like to become a social worker to help young girls like me, never to be like me, or to cause the trauma that I caused to anyone else, and the pain and the hurt and everything that they've had to live with.
All right. I appreciate your statement, and I can see the remorse in your tone and what you're saying. So we'll continue now, and let's see. Adrienne, we'll let you be last if that's okay with you. And we'll take, next we'll take, Carrie, let's see, let's leave Carrie second. And Heather, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you have to say, Heather?
You can step up.
Oh, okay.
Stay right there. Thank you. Sorry, I have to have glasses because I've made 51 and eyes don't work like they used to. So first of all, thank y'all for letting me come on behalf of my younger sister, Kim. Really, her name is Kimberly, but I don't think I've called her Kimberly unless I fussed at her when she was 6 anymore. So otherwise, I just give her eyes and she knows that her ass is mine, pardon my French, or English, and how you'd like to look at that. Ever since she has grown up, she has been that little sister. We were inseparable. Even though there's a 7.5-year age gap, I will say I look younger than she. She started out as my living little doll. She graduated to being my model and then my best friend. Has always been caring, loving, giggling. That giggling one that just had the knack for when she saw anybody else in the world, whether it be in the grocery, a family gathering, or whatever, just needed a hug. And at 3 years old, she'd walk away and go see that person and offer that hug. As we began to age, Kim became our constant performer, very creative. And as women, we became one, especially when she became a mom first. During those long distance times, we had to pay attention to our minutes so we didn't go over our allotted budget for the month. We watched the minutes to save money, but planned our next visit in person. Just from Mississippi to Louisiana, it seemed like a far distance, but God knows it was only 50 miles at best, but those minutes would add up. Once I became a mom, Kim became my Bible of what to do because she got there before I did. The calls, the in-person visits, we kept each other going. Eventually, she had another child, and her life became a little bit of a struggle. Her relationship with her children, and the children's dad, I should say, became a little strained, and Kim felt that she didn't have the right skills to properly handle and come out on the other side stronger. Sorry. Due to some upbringing and our different upbringings, she could not thrive when the devil was tapping in. I believe for her at that time, it was easier to open the door than to fight to close it. Which leads me to a path of choices that aren't pretty. Kim was an easy target to drugs, alcohol, physical, and emotional abuse that she did sustain from the kid's father. We then all tried to stop, get in, and become a part of a helpful system. But Kim felt the love for her kids and their dad was more important than stopping for herself. Unfortunately, I'm going to jump to where we became a part of the prison system. As a family, we became a part of the system.
I didn't say this before we got started, but we really need to limit our remarks because we have a lot of people going to be talking in this case.
Okay.
If you would, give us the gist of what you have to say, please, ma'am. I know you've got some remarks, but
Kim has done nothing but becoming a remarkable person after she submitted to what was a true problem in her life, which was drugs and alcohol, and allowing those to step in and overrun her. Once she gave into that and realized that that destroyed her family, all of us, she then decided, let's get a GED. Let's see how I do. Then asked, hey, you think I could do college courses? Hey, do you think I could do this? And then the less confidence became more confidence. It never became, do you think I can? It has now become, I've done it and I'm going to continue doing it. And if I do this course, I'm already looking into what the next ones are. Kim's decided that her future is on a path that's godly, that's family driven. Her demons will always be there, but she's decided to fight for them, her family, and herself.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for those remarks. Now, everything you said was meaningful and taken to heart. And I'm sorry to cut you off a little bit, but anyway, it was necessary. Okay, let's hear from Carrie Myers. Carrie, would you tell us what's on your mind?
Good morning, Kerry Myers, Louisiana Parole Project. We're here to let the board know that we have full support of Kimberly should this board grant her today. Kimberly impressed us tremendously by her commitment to her sobriety, by her work ethic. She works at DOC headquarters, which is a highly trusted position. She is thought highly of by staff. She has earned an associate's degree currently in a bachelor's degree program with Tulane. She has trained service dogs for veterans. She is a regular participant in AA-NA and continues to work on her sobriety. She's a certified sign language interpreter. She's done nothing but her trajectory is just continues to move upward. And we think that Kimberly is not only destined for success, but we are fully committed to helping her reach that success should this board grant her parole today. The fact that she's overcome the adversity from her childhood to become who she is today is like I said, is extraordinarily impressive. Someone who has dealt with trauma, the terrible effects that trauma can cause, and has come out the other side and continues to excel. And so should she be released today, or granted today, she'll come to Parole Project, where she will have a mentor who will guide her through this process. She will have the full resources of our program as far as housing, employment opportunities, and all the other resources that we can provide for her. We've already evaluated her. Our social worker has already evaluated her. And our recommendation is a long-term outpatient continued sobriety program, which she is absolutely willing to participate in. And we would just ask this board to consider Kimberly's long, hard road to where she is now, the work she's done and trajectory she is on, and grant her parole today.
Okay. Thank you very much for those comments. All right, now we will hear from the attorney for the Louisiana Parole Project. Ms. Hutchison, would you want to talk to us now?
I believe there's one more speaker. It's Ms. Stephanie King should be present at the board.
We just have three that we don't normally have four. Three and the attorney. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that was my mistake. We do have three speakers and then the attorney. Okay. Yes, ma'am. It's your turn if you would like to speak. Introduce yourself once you get up there. Even though I've introduced you before. Oh, talk about this one over here is fine.
My name is Stephanie King. Some of this board may know me and remember me, and some of you may not. I too was once an LCI deputy with Kimberly. I served 27 and a half years of a 60-year sentence before this committee saw in me what I hope you see in Kimberly today. Like Kimberly, I too came from a troubled past, and like Kimberly, I used my time at LCIW wisely to rehabilitate myself, get educated, grow. I remember when Kimberly came to LCIW, she was young, confused, and full of grief. But our close-knit family of women took her in and helped her find her way. The turn she has taken has been dramatic and inspiring. She immediately got involved in things once she arrived, taking programs, joining clubs, going to school, and spending quality time with her family during visits. Our schedules in prison can be busy, and so to be able to work your full-time job, mentor or help others, fulfill your obligations to your clubs, and then work on the course load from Tulane University is far from easy. And Kimberly is doing it and doing it well. Today, she has a community that she never had before she went to prison. The women you see with me are all formerly incarcerated women who have been with Kimberly along the way. We are here to let you know that we are still here to support her as we supported each other in prison. She is not alone. She is loved, and all of us intend to support her if you need so. Today, she has a community of Tulane professors and Operation Restoration staff here that should have been on Zoom to support her, who are proud of her and ready to help on this side. And just as they have helped me, I think I got letters from them. And today, I pray that you see how far Kimberly has grown and all the things she has done to better herself while incarcerated. I pray you see how she has truly transformed her life and become a whole new woman. And I pray that you give her the opportunity to walk across the Tulane stage at graduation with all the other Tulane graduates, all of us formerly incarcerated. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. We appreciate it. Okay, I think I'm back on track now. Ms. Hutchinson, I believe it's your turn to speak, and I could be wrong, so feel free to correct me.
No, sir, Mr. Prater, you're correct. Thank you for having me today, board. I think today we have the opportunity to see true rehabilitation and change. Nothing Kimberly or I will say today will or can change the facts of the crime. Her remorse, the grief, and trauma of her actions are a part of her DNA now. I think you can see that. She lives with the facts and all of the effects of her crime every minute of every day. The death of her baby boy and the loss of Haley and Bradley, her two older children, showed her how deep and dark her addiction had taken her. Over the last 20 years, she's pulled herself out of that deep and dark hole. I think a lot of what I was going to talk about has already been said, but I do want to hit on just a few extra things. We talk about her education, but Kimberly's education, she had only gone to the 6th grade by the time this crime happened, even though she was 24 years old. She's now completed a literacy program, obtained her GED. She can be a sign language interpreter for public settings. She's certified. She's a student at Tulane University, but I want the board to understand that they have to go through the same requirements of anybody who goes into Tulane University. That goes to the School of Professional Achievement. And I didn't tell Kimberly before this, but if you look into the exhibit of the letters from the director of the Tulane program, Kimberly is on track to graduate summa cum laude. That's the highest academic distinction you could get in college. That's a far cry from the young woman who committed this crime. Tulane University and works directly with Operation Restoration in the brief, and also in their letters, they discuss that they continue to support these clients once they're on the other side. I know when you look at Kimberly's background, you'll understand that somebody with that amount of trauma needs a large level of support. And while I know you have us with Louisiana Parole Project here, Operation Restoration is here, Rise Collective is here, all support, and Tulane University, all here to support her if she is granted release. Her service to others is probably the most I've seen, or one of the most I've seen over the time that I've been doing this, training service dogs for wounded warrior or parents who need service dogs for children with disabilities. And one thing that she'll talk about when you speak with her is that none of this was possible without her sobriety. As people wake up in the morning and read their daily devotional, Kim wakes up and reads her AA manual. This is something she knows that she has to have every day to continue to be successful. The people that you see there, the people in this room, and all the people that wrote letters are here for Kimberly's support in reentry into society. Her ability to be with LPP long term allows us to maintain and manage her sobriety and continue her with any type of additional services that she needs through our social worker. Additionally, if this board deems that Kimberly needs anything additional while in prison, her parole eligibility date is not until August of next year. So any classes or courses that you may want her to take between now and then, she would have the time to take them. I just really hope that this board sees that Kimberly has done an amazing job going from the person she was 20 years ago. And she's a person that she never even could see to be today. And if this board has any questions or concerns, I'll be more than happy to help with any of those questions. And I would just reserve the right to clear up anything at the end of the hearing if necessary.
Okay, thank you. And Warden, we'll get to you in just a little bit. I'll be asking as soon as the opposition to parole has their say, then I'd like to come back to you and your staff and hear what y'all say about her before we do our questions. So,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
just so you can be prepared for that. Okay, we'll move to the opposition. We have Randall Meyer, and we'll take him last, and Haley Ravan. Okay, Haley, it's your turn, and if you would approach the podium and speak to us for about 3 minutes and let us know what you think.
Coming from one of her and only daughter, she took a life of my brother. She took a life of mine. She left me in the hands of a very abusive home. She put me into a sexual assault situation. She took the motherhood that I wanted growing up. She took it from me. I never got to meet her. I never got to experience a motherhood from her. Coming at 24 years old now with my own daughter, I could never imagine taking a life of a newborn. I will always stand on this. I don't think and will never think she deserves to ever know me or my daughter, and I take that heartily. This is not my only court case I've ever gone through, and this is a closure that I needed, and that is why I'm standing here today. I don't think she deserves to walk the streets that a little boy should have been able to walk, and he wasn't able to. He took his first breath, and that was it. He got to experience life in a dumpster, and I don't think anybody deserves that. And honestly, I think she needs to deserve the rest of her sentence, just like he didn't get to deserve a life. And that's all I'm going to have to say today, sir. My opinion is what it can be, but I don't ever want to have any connection with her, and I don't think she deserves anything.
Thank you for those words. We appreciate that. Okay, Randall Meyer, would you please let us know what your feelings are?
Yes, sir. Randall Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. But with all due respect, I'd like to hear what the warden has to say before I comment.
Okay. All right.
We always feel that the warden has more contact with the victim with the inmate than any of us, and I like to hear their position on things.
Okay, I think that'd be appropriate. Warden, would you go ahead and tell us what's on your mind then?
Yes, sir. Some of the notes that I had made prior to this are kind of a repeat from what some of the people that spoke in support of Kimberly, but she is a minimum custody inmate, and she does work at our headquarters office every day. So she is trusted, and all of her work supervisors at headquarters have given her glowing remarks, and she really puts all that she has. When she does come back, she lives in the dorm where we house some of our new intakes and our reentry offenders. So while she's not here during the day with those inmates every day, but she is mentoring them when she comes back in the evening, whether that be just because they're new into the system and to try and guide them to follow the right way and follow the right path, or whether it's about sobriety and getting people really on that path to wanting to
be where she is and to achieve what she's done. She is very serious about her educational studies and really puts a focus on that. I think, Kimberly and I spoke last week for a little bit, and, she said she just feels like she really has put forth the effort, and just feels like she's in a really good place right now. But again, I've never had any issues with Kimberly. She's always done anything that's ever been asked of her. And I do think with the family support that she has here with us today and with the support of Parole Project, I think she has a good head on her shoulders right now.
Okay, thank you, Warden. We appreciate that input and value what you had to say. All right, Mr. Meyer, I think it's your turn now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Randall Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. We submitted a letter in opposition to Ms. Loft, and that was based on the victim opposition and the nature of the offense. And also, I note that she's only served about half of her sentence. It sounds like Ms. Loft has done a lot of good things. If this board were to decide to grant her parole, we would recommend that she, be ordered to complete a long-term substance abuse treatment program, as Mr. Myers had pointed out that they had ready to help her with, and also that there be some mandated AA and NA continued attendance at meetings for AA and NA. I've not necessarily sure y'all have heard this from me before, but I've got a good friend who's been 40 years involved in AA, NA. In fact, he told me not long ago that the first event he attended sober was my wedding. 40 years ago, and he's still very involved in it. He still goes weekly. He still sponsors people. So I think it's a extremely important program, and for her to continue with when she ever does get out, and while she remains incarcerated. So that's our position today. Thank you.
We thank you for your remarks. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, the way that we do these, as far as the process goes, is that we've heard a lot of input from both sides and from those that are not really on a side. And now the board has studied this. We've had weeks to study it, and we've all made ourselves very familiar with it. But we divide these up, and one leads the question and votes first. And Danny Barha,
You got it, Barra.
much as I know him, I still can't say his name. So if I offended anybody's names today, then it's just me. But Danny, would you start the question for us, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Before I start the question, I just put a few things that on the record, a little details of the crime, a little bit of the stuff I saw through the paperwork. And basically, on November 8, 2003, a newborn male infant was found in a garbage can with the placenta after birth. Through investigation, the mother, Kimberly Loft, was interviewed at the hospital where she sought treatment. She admitted giving birth to an infant who was stillborn. She admitted concealing the pregnancy by wrapping the infant in a towel and putting the infant in the garbage can. On 11/10, forensic pathologist ruled the infant's death was a homicide. Loft was questioned a second time and admitted the infant was alive at birth, and she wrapped the infant in a towel and concealed the birth and placed the infant in the trash. I also see through looking at the file that you're a true first offender, which is good, that you haven't had any write-ups since 2015. That's also good. You served 21 or 40 years. You do have law enforcement opposition and opposition from family. So those things being said, my question is, can you explain to me your state of mind at the time of the crime? What caused you to do something like this? I can't even wrap head around it. And I just would like for you to explain to me a little bit of how things could go so bad.
The only way I could put it is, sir, I was an addict and I panicked. And that is a panic that I have lived with since. There are no words that could put a reason to what I did, sir. There are no words other than I was a coward. And that's all I've looked at myself as a coward. I live every day, sir, with what I did, with the lies I told. I live with that every day, sir. There is no words for what I did, because it is unexplainable. There are none. There are none. And I know how it looks, because it wakes me up at night. I know how it looks. I ask myself daily, how could I have been such a damn fool? But I have no answers even for myself, sir. And I can't change what I did. I can't. I'll never be able to change it. If the board was to grant me today my freedom, I would only be free from prison, sir. I wouldn't be free from my actions. I wouldn't be free of abandoning my children. I won't be free of none of that. So no, sir, there is no words that could justify my actions, sir. Other than I was an addict and I was a coward.
All right. What are your plans like? Should we release you? What's your plans for the next 5 years?
Well, I would like to go to Parole Project for as long as possible. I would like to finish my bachelor's degree. My main goal is to be a social worker. I would like to reach out to young kids who feel like they have no one to turn to, sir. I know I did a horrible job with my children, and to hear how I hurt my daughter, I can't change that, sir. I can't. There's nothing I could do in this prison that'll change that. There's no class. There's nothing I could do to change that. But there is somebody that I can help out there. I know there is. I know there is. And that is what I strive for. That's what my sobriety strives for. That is what my everyday strives for. As everyone has told you, I spend my days working in headquarters, and by night I'm either in school, helping a mentee with homework. There's never a moment that goes by that I'm not giving back to my community, considering everything I took and everybody I've hurt. All of my pain, that's my driving force, sir, to stay sober and to become a social worker. It's my driving force, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all the questions I had.
Yeah, how old were your two children when this happened and you went to prison? How old were those children?
I think they were like 5 and 3 at the time.
So the girl who spoke here today, was she your 3-year-old or your 5-year-old?
Yes, ma'am. My 3-year-old.
Did they go into foster care? Is there where the children went?
No, ma'am. Actually, they stayed with my parents until their father asked me to hand over custody to them because he felt like they needed to be together with him. That is the only reason why I sent them to live with their father. Only reason. Other than that, they would have stayed in the hands of my parents, and my sister was willing to help in their care. Haley was in school at the time of this incident. While they were in my parents' care, they came to caring parents on the compound. I still had access to my children. The day their father asked me to sign them kids over was the last time I saw them.
Yeah, because I heard your daughter saying that she lived in an abusive home. So I'm assuming that happened when she was handed over to her father.
Yes, ma'am. She was very taken care of at my parents' home. She was in Hazel Park Elementary until Hurricane Katrina. After Hurricane Katrina and they had to relocate, my parents immediately got her back in school.
Yes.
They had the best of care with my parents. My parents loved them. And if hindsight's 2020, if I would have known 20 years ago, giving that girl to her father, this was going to happen, she would have gone in foster care before she'd have ever went to him. What I did and the reason I'm here today holds nothing on my children.
No. Well, let me ask you this. You say that you want to be a social worker.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
said you want to do outreach to children. So if you were to speak to a crowd, how would you start your presentation?
I think I would introduce myself as an addict.
Okay.
Because that is how I introduce myself today.
Right.
When we get new commits in here, I introduce myself as an addict and they just look at me and they ask me how long I've been in jail. And I tell them how long I've been in jail and they always wonder why I still claim myself as an addict. Because, ma'am, there's one thing I've learned. You can stop being an addict, but you will always be an addict.
Okay, well, my second question is this. What put you in jail? When did you bring up the subject of you put your baby in a trash can and let it die? In a crowd of people, when do you say that? In your outreach?
Immediately. I want them to know where I come from.
Because I know you said you're going to tell them you're an addict, but the second part of that is
Immediately. I'm an addict, and this is what I did. Immediately. I have spent all this time. I can't run from it, ma'am. I can't.
that's the harder thing in life when you
Yes,
get
ma'am.
out, be
Yes,
able to say. Because we all live with our truths at a lot of times. I mean, a lot less than that we don't like to share with other people. So that would be very difficult. So I was just wondering, as a social worker and to have outreach, what would be your topic? So that's the only question I've got.
Okay. All right, I don't have any questions. Thank you. Are you prepared to vote?
Yes. Let's have an executive session.
Okay, we have a motion for an executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, staff, would you call the roll, please?
Carolyn Stevenson,
Yes.
Steve Prayer,
Yes.
Danny Byros.
Yes.
Okay, we'll be in an executive session for just a very few minutes in the back, and we'll come back out and we'll take our vote and let you know what the outcome is, okay? All right. Okay, we'll have a motion to come back from executive session to the regular session.
Byros,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Prayer.
Yes, yes. Okay, we'll resume at 9:45. I don't think I gave the time when we left, but it will be easy to figure out at about 9:42. So we'll say that. And anyway, it's time to vote now. And so Danny, would you give us your vote, Lisa?
All right. Today, I'm going to vote to grant you parole based on you being a true first offender, you having a good plan with the parole project, the numerous letters of support, the accomplishments that you've made in prison. However, I'm going to add special conditions to your release that you stay with parole project at least 2 years, that you complete weekly substance abuse classes, that you do monthly mental health classes, all of those monitored by Parole Project, and you follow all recommendations for treatment and services. And that's my vote.
Okay, Ms. Stepson?
My vote is I concur with Mr. Barra, but I do want to acknowledge the pain that Haley has suffered. And I'm so glad she had the courage to come speak to us today, because this has been a devastating event for everybody, as we know. And so I do concur with Mr. Barra, and my vote is going to be Trent also for the very same reasons. But everybody's pain is coming from a different place, and it all matters.
All right, that's two, and it takes three. So my vote's gonna be to grant too. That's not normally like me. The reason I say that is I'm usually a tough sell. I don't know what more we could ask you to do. I know how hard it's been on you, and I take what the warden has to say very much to heart. And so with the conditions that Mr. Dan put on you, my vote is to grant also with the same acknowledgement to the opposition. So that's the end of this hearing. The time is 9:47. Signing off from LCIW.
Thank you.
you.